Hey, welcome. Funny story. Well, not so funny. This isn't a live recording, or this isn't a recording of the live mastermind. When I ran the live mastermind last night, I got a bit too excited and forgot to press record. But I did promise there was going to be a replay, and here is the replay. I've never actually done it like this. I've never actually presented to nobody. So bear with me. It's going to feels a bit weird already. But I'm going to just try and visualize that I've got people watching, and hopefully it still works. But most of you know me. My name's Mason. I'm a man's anger coach and a soul navigator. Soul navigation came into the work that I do because I realized that the work I do is more than helping somebody navigate anger or reaching a goal. I truly feel that in order for us to be fulfilled, we have to find something that is aligned with our soul. There's these things that we want, and they speak to us, they connect to us differently. The normal, just tangible things are great to have, but do they feed the soul? Evidence has evidence has proven that that's not always the case. But before we do get started, I always like to get people to check in. And by check in, I mean just allow yourself to be fully present, because you've had stuff you needed to do before you jumped on this. You probably have stuff you're going to do later on, and your mind might be a bit busy. And when our minds are busy, it doesn't allow us to truly absorb the information that's being shared. So if you'd really like to get value out of this mastermind, get value out of the things I'm going to share with you today, then I'd really encourage you just try and center yourself. What I like to do is just feel the weight of my butt on the chair. Feel your feet on the ground. Start by taking a deep breath in and then out. And again. And just gift yourself the gift of presence. Be here with me. Allow what I'm about to share today to become yours, your wisdom, your practical and useful information to help you navigate life while taking minimal emotional damage. Just allow yourself to be here. And if you are doing this, you probably feel a little more calm already, a little more ready to sit down and listen to this. I'm not going to go on longer than I have to. I'm going to just try and get through this with all the important information that I think you'll find the most value in. And I'll start by saying how happy I am for us both that you're here. I'm happy for myself because this is the work that I do. I love this work. I was born to do this work. All the shit that I've been through has led me to do this. So it makes all the tough times not be in vain. But I'm also happy for you guys, because you guys have committed to do something for yourself. You've taken that step. And as a reward for taking that step, I'm here to help you learn how to respond to life with more patience, more calm, and not as much frustration and anger. So, and if you do stay to the end, you're going to have an opportunity to deepen your growth journey. So, when people do go through these steps, the steps I'm about to share for you today, with you today, they get to a deeper understanding of themselves. because knowing who you are is the most important thing. And it kind of sounds quite abstract. You think if there's anybody you're going to know, it's yourself. But you'd be surprised how little people know about themselves. You're going to learn how or why you act and react to life the same way. There's going to be an element of this, which is a deep journey of self-exploration, because self-discovery is what we all want. People say, I just want to be happy. And that's very vague. And it's hard to be happy when you don't know what you want. And for you to know what you want, you have to know yourself. And this takes work. This requires you to look inwards, be alone with your thoughts, be curious about them, understand your life, understand where you've come from in order to know where you want to go. You're going to begin to recognize when you're going to be frustrated or angry. Because what might often happen at the moment is that one minute you're okay and next minute you're already right in the middle of the shit. Do you know what I mean? There wasn't that, you didn't have that warning. My personal journey, I was to go from 0 to 100 in 0 point how many seconds. But the people that go through these steps, they are able to recognize, oh, this is a moment when I usually get triggered, or I can feel that physical experience that makes me want to respond in a certain way. So you're going to be able to learn a bit more about this and how you can start to watch out for your own inner cues when this stuff's about to happen. You're going to learn the importance of self-love and compassion. People with anger issues have very little self-love and compassion for themselves. They've got a lot of shame and guilt, but compassion, not so much. I'm going to talk about this later on, but you've got to think about it. You're not angry for no reason. There's a reason why you do the things you do. You say the things you say and react the way you react. It's not because you want to do it. So you need to learn how to show compassion to that part of you, because that part of you is hurting. But like I said, I'm going to be going more into this later on. Ultimately, you get further in life because anger is full of judgment. Again, this is something else I'm going to dive deeper into. When we're angry, we have an idea of what's right and what's wrong, what people should do and what they shouldn't do, what they should say and what they shouldn't say. So much judgment is the cause of our anger. And of course, we judge ourselves too. But ultimately, when people go through these steps, they have a happier and more fulfilling life because they don't have that weight of anger on their back. So who's this for? Because it might not be for you, you should jump off if it's not. But this is for people, not just for overcoming the anger, the weight that comes with the anger, but people that find it hard to let things go. If something's pissed you off, we need to learn how to let it go as soon as possible, because that is an extra weight. When we can't forgive and forget, we struggle to communicate in that relationship or whatever it is, It's for those that are fed up of feeling the feeling of guilt, shame, embarrassment. It's a horrible feeling and it's low vibration. When we feel guilty, that can make us sad, or ironically, it can take us back to the anger that we feel guilty for. This masterclass is for people that are fed up of being out of control. You don't like that you lose your shit without any ability to stop it or to prevent it. So if that sounds like you, keep going. Or sorry, as I say, keep going. I'm the one that keeps going. If that sounds like you, stay here. So like I said, you're gonna learn the real causes of your anger. You're gonna uncover the deeper reasons of what your anger is for, because it's usually misplaced. We're gonna go through a few techniques and practices so you can manage your reactions. We're going to learn some practical exercises for you to use so you can find your calm. And these are things that you're going to be able to do by yourself. to stay calm and confident no matter what life throws at you. So to get me introduce myself properly. So I do this work from experience, uh, both professionally and personally. I was a hothead. I used to lose my shit very often, multiple times each day. There always seemed to be a reason. There always seemed to be something or someone that was trying to piss me off. I realized that I was actually looking for it. Through my own journey, I've trained in a number of things. First, I trained as a transformational life coach at a university in Regent's Park at a school called Animas, an amazing coaching school. But then I kind of just realized that getting somebody to their goal wasn't necessarily for their greater good. Some people might say to me, oh, I need to change this or I need to change that. It's quite easy to get someone from A to B just with accountability and mapping out a plan. But whether or not that B destination is for them is totally different. And I recognize this for myself. So then I trained in breath work. Breath work is an amazing somatic modality that helps you get out of your mind and into your body. Trained in with some amazing teachers, Gabor Mate being one of them, in somatic experiences. This is somatic therapy. Again, these are kind of techniques that help you get out of your head and into your body because we hold a lot of trauma in our body. You know, when we're angry, we recognize or logically understand that the anger shouldn't have been exhibited at that time and that place. And we keep wondering why we keep doing this. That's because we have somehow managed to compartmentalize the trigger, but it still lives in our body. So it totally bypasses the brain and we get that physical response. And before we know it, we're effing and we're blinding or we're just feeling shit. So this is the work that I do. And for me, my anger was the cause of many of my problems. And I didn't realize this for a while. And what frustrated me most was that I seemed to be or take my anger out on the people that I cared for or loved for the most. Friends, external friends and strangers, not so much. They'd piss me off and they'd see a little bit, but not so much. But things changed when I learned how to take responsibility. You know, stopped blaming external situations and people for my reactions. Taking responsibility was a big turning point for me, a massive turning point for me. And the fact that you guys are here now, the fact that you're here now, goes to show that you have taken some responsibility for your anger and you want to change it. But when we come to anger, there's a spectrum of it. You know, some people describe how they feel angry differently. Starting at the top, where the most recognizable is anger, it's the rage. You know, shouting, swearing, screaming, punching, kicking, breaking things. That's at the top of the anger chart, so to say. But underneath that, there's a frustration that it's a weight, it's the huffing, it's the puffing, it's the continuous feeling that things aren't great. And you just want to snap. Frustration is heavy as well. But then underneath that, and this is where quite a lot of people sit, is that real dissatisfaction for life. And what people don't understand, just because you're not effing and blinding, it doesn't mean you're not angry. You know, I don't think happiness should be our goal. I don't think we need to be happy all day, every day. I think that's unrealistic. I think we need to understand that life is ups and downs and everything in between. That's all part of it. But when we have this constant underlying dissatisfaction for the life we're living, that manifests into anger. It would be or depression, which is also true to me. After I got rid of the anger, there was a moment of depression. And this is what I'm trying to avoid. But you know this, you're here because you're tired of being angry or feeling shit. You're here because you might lose those that you care about. You might break down relationships. And that's not what you want. You're here because you're a good man and you want to do better. You want to be better. And you're here because you can't see past your own perspective. You're struggling to locate your blind spots, but you're aware of this. You know that there's something you're missing. And that's why you keep responding to life or to situations in the way that you do. You're here because you're judgmental. And this isn't me having a dig. If you actually recognize how judgmental we are when we're being angry, we're automatically saying how things should be, that our way is the right way. But when we suspend that judgment and allow things and situations just to be as they are, it releases so much tension from our own selves. And you're here because your body's holding on to, I'm going to say it, there's trauma. Trauma is a word that's been thrown about a lot, but it's really important to understand that anger responses are from a trauma that wasn't able to be met and processed with love and compassion when the trauma occurred. So what happens is you find yourself feeling attacked, and your response to feeling attacked is to exhibit anger. This is where your anger is coming from. But anyway, I hope you have a pad and a pen, because I'm just going to go straight into the tips. There's going to be 5 things that you can do to help you navigate and control your anger, your frustration, just your undesired responses to life. So the first thing being, pause it. If you don't have a pen, pause it, go get a pen, because you are going to want to write it down. Oh, by the way, I'm not going to show any slides. I used to have slides in all my presentations and stuff, and it just seemed a bit too corporate, a bit too robotic. I'd rather just be here and just share with you. It feels more personal. We did in a live. This feels a bit weird for me because there's no faces looking back, but hopefully you're getting, well, it shouldn't be no different for you. It's just different for me. But I digress. Number 1, admit that you've got anger. Not just to yourself. You've done that by being here, but to also those around you. So write that down. Right, number 1, admit I have anger. And then we're going to do a little exercise, because when we have this admission, especially the thought about saying it to people around us, saying it to a parent, a friend, a romantic partner, a wife, whatever it is, some feelings might come up for you. Chances are they're all very aware of it. But to actually say to someone, I've got an anger issue, can be quite vulnerable. So what I want us to do now, a little bit of box breathing, which means I want you to follow me. So what we're going to do, we're going to inhale through our nose for 4 seconds. We're going to hold for 4 seconds. We're going to exhale for 4 seconds. We're going to hold for 4 seconds. And we're going to do that 3 times. In the live exercise, we've done that for a few minutes, but you can do that in your own time. This is just so that I can give you the practice in doing it. So just do it with me now. We'll go in. Breathe out. Hold. I'll count you in. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3. Keep doing it. Keep going in. So this is the box breath, and it's designed to help regulate the nervous system and bring you into a present state of calm. So as you're doing this breath, I want you to visualize in as much detail as you can. Keep doing the breath and visualize you actually telling the people around you, that you have an anger issue. And now visualize the last time you lost your shit. In as much detail as you can. And then try and recall how you felt then compared to how you're feeling right now with this box breath. The contrast, the sharpness between the anger response and to this box breathing calm response, which regulates your nervous system. And now stop and just sit for a minute and just feel how this state of presence feels. How this calmness feels. Compared to the intensity of anger. And then take a moment to imagine how it would feel navigating a situation in this way. Having your automatic response be just to breathe. And as we're having this, sometimes when someone says to you, breathe, it seems unhelpful, but when you're actually consciously aware of the work that you're doing, it's a lot easier to breathe in time before you just go off, lose control. And if you find it hard, which you might do, it's okay, give it time. Because what you're doing, you're training a muscle. You don't go to the gym and on day one, you leave with a six-pack and massive biceps. Like anything else, like for example, you might not catch it until after an outburst. Excuse me. But then this can bring you back to base level a lot quicker. And then after that, you may catch yourself halfway through an outburst. And then at the beginning of an outburst. And then before an outburst. You see where I'm going with this? Like this tool is there for you. So just picture that you've actually got a tool going into you now, into your psyche, into your consciousness. Let's move on. Number 2, saying sorry. Saying sorry. Now, pause the video and write a list of all the people that your anger has impacted. Even if it's the person that sells you coffee in the morning, just write a list. And it's going to be vulnerable. Don't miss anybody out, but write a list. Second part of this, I want you to visualize in as much detail as you can. As much detail as your mind allows you to. Saying sorry to each of these people and accept that you have overreacted. And step 2 kind of goes into step 3. I want you to actually feel the vulnerability in saying this, in owning up to this shit. Feel how naked you feel, how open you feel the discomfort of actually saying sorry, saying I overreacted, saying that I have an anger issue and I'm working on it. And stay with this vulnerable feeling, this feeling of tenderness, of openness, until it turns into a feeling of power and strength. Because that's what our vulnerability is. When you can say, look at someone in the eye and say, you know that thing I done? I am sorry. I overreacted. I have a problem with anger and I'm working on it. owning that is one of the strongest things that we can do, rather than be wrong and strong and double down on the way we reacted, even though that we know deep down that we didn't need to respond in the way that we did. Feel that strength. Be mindful of your body language right now. How are you sitting when you're thinking about apologizing? And when you apologize, there's no buts after it. Don't say, I am sorry, but I had a bad day, or I'm sorry, but when I was younger, this happened to me. We don't need to kind of justify the reason. That that takes away from the apology. It's our responsibility why from it. The person who our anger came out on, they're the ones that we're looking out for here. And it's also a practice for ourselves, but we're not trying to justify it. We're taking full ownership right now. And immediately after righting your wrongs, you will, with a genuine, heartfelt apology, rather than a regretful one, you will feel better for it. You will feel better for it. Something will shift. Number three, compassion and forgiveness. You're not angry for no reason, like I said earlier on. There was a time in your life when something happened where you weren't able to process the information that needed to be processed. You weren't able to share how you truly felt. And back then, even if you were somebody that would respond to anger, there might have been a place for it then. It might have been very valid because you feared for your safety. But now your mind is so used to responding this way that's become your default. But like we can learn stuff, we can also unlearn it. And the only way we can unlearn it is through repetition. And the only way that we're going to allow ourselves to unlearn what needs to be done is the recognition, like we mentioned before, but also with forgiveness for yourself. Because if we say anger is a bad thing, we are trying to push a part of ourselves away. You know, we don't like ourselves for this thing, for feeling this way, for being this way. And if there's something that we don't like, that doesn't feel good. But then if we learn to accept it as part of us and there was a reason for it, we can begin to work on it. And what I like to say to people is that when they say, I'm angry, I'm an angry person, I'm like, no, a part of you is angry. That's key. Because when you say a part of you is angry, you're able to disconnect yourself from the anger. You're able to put it over there and be a bit more curious about it. It doesn't have to consume you. And then you can learn how to forgive this part. Just, I understand why you're angry. I'm going to give you love. I'm going to give you compassion. I'm going to forgive you for causing me so much pain. But now let's work on you. Not me, you, that angry part. So learn how to forgive yourself. It doesn't matter if everybody forgives you as well. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to forgive ourselves first. Because again, that's a whole conversation in itself. If we don't forgive ourselves or show ourselves compassion, we don't think that we're worthy of it. And we won't even accept it when other people try and give it to us. We don't think it's genuine. It's that whole self-love thing. You have to love yourself first. And it's not easy when we've been angry for so fucking long. Number four, the mind-body connection. This is important. We've got another exercise. Now, I invite you. Actually, I feel like we're going a bit too quick. Especially from the forgiving yourself part. I think to actually let that settle in about that self-forgiveness, about that compassion, when we probably haven't shown ourselves either. if not for a long time ever. I think it's important just to let that point settle in. Pause the video if you need more time as we move on. So, the mind body connection. I invite you to close your eyes. Close your eyes and just begin to breathe. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the nose. And just focusing on the breath, just to center yourself as we start to speak about the mind body connection. Breathing in, feeling the rise of your chest on the inhale and the fall of the chest on the exhale. Allowing your face to soften from your jaw, your neck, your shoulders. Just allow everything to soften. Feeling yourself, the weight of your bum on the chair and your feet on the ground. And now we're going to starting from your feet. I want you to begin pressing your toes on the floor, squeezing them, tense the feet by curling your toes downwards, and hold the tension for as long as you can, from 5 to 10 seconds. Squeeze as much as you can, squeeze. And then slowly release the tension and notice the difference between the tension and the relaxation. Now gradually move up from each muscle group, tensing your calves if you can. Just your calves tense for 5 to 10 seconds. And then release. Feel the difference. Moving up to your thighs, your quads, squeeze. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. I mean, fucking squeeze all the tension you can. And then relax. And now on your buttocks, your glutes, squeeze. And relax. Let's try your stomach, the abdomen. Tense it up. And then relax. Up to your chest and your back. Squeeze, tense as hard as you can. And then relax. Your hands, your arms, your shoulders, your neck. Squeeze, squeeze. Tense as hard as you can. And relax. And now your face, if you can. Still with your eyes closed. So now you've completed the cycle, but just feel how your body feels, the connection between your mind and your body, the tension and the relaxation. Noticing the difference, bringing an awareness to how your body feels in different situations. When we're angry, we do not feel this sense of relaxation. Our body is tense, it's fight or flight. We're ready to go to war. Continuing to do this exercise helps you recognize when when your nervous system goes into fight mode, then we're able just to recognize it, squeeze it even more when you're in the moment, and then just relax. Just take a couple minutes just to feel your body relaxing now, the relaxation. And again, pause it if you need more time to journal, to write. It was a bit more interactive when we've done it live, but hopefully you'll still be able to get this value on it. I think this fifth and final part is my favorite. I think if you nail this, or when you nail this, your life will massively change, massively shift for the better. And this is number five. Be true to yourself. Find your core human self. What do I mean by this? There's so much expectation of us as men. And when we don't feel like we're living up to that expectation, that is another fuel for anger. So we need to learn how to really connect with who we are, to find ourselves, our deeper self, our higher self, because our true self doesn't get angry. I've said this loads of time. Our soul doesn't get angry. Our higher self, our hearts don't get angry. It's the ego, it's the past experiences that have built up on top of our core human self where the anger is held. Your heart doesn't care about the shit that you lost your shit about. Your heart doesn't care when somebody says something you don't like the sound of. Your heart's able to show them compassion. It's like, oh, you said a dumb thing. It doesn't consume us. But there's some steps that we have to take in order to find our core human self. And there's a process. We've touched on the first one, which is compassion. Okay, I'll tell you why compassion is so important as well. Imagine someone speaking to you, trying to get you to do something, and they're like, just do this, you're doing this wrong. Do this fucking thing and do it now. You're doing it wrong. I don't like you, like whatever. Just think about the tone of somebody saying something. And I think about it from a compassionate standpoint, with someone saying to you, okay, mate, I understand. Okay, but let's do this. Who are you going to let in? Are you going to get in the compassionate voice or the angry voice? Who are you going to allow to go into your soul, into your spirit? The anger? No, you're going to reject that. The wall is just going to come up and try and protect yourself. But with compassion, compassion is the key. The compassion is the key to unlock the love that you're trying to protect, and it's stopping you from living life, living a full expression of life. And then once you've got the compassion for the thing, for the situation, and you've accepted that the thing isn't wrong and the thing's allowing you to look at it, meaning the anger is allowing you to look at it rather than suppress it or compartmentalize it, then you can start to be curious about it. This is the second C. So there's 8 C's, and this is the second one. First one's compassion. Write that down. Second one is curiosity. Because now you can be curious about why you do the things you do, why you act the way you act, rather than just try and shun it or swear at it or be angry at it or feel shame over it or guilt over it. Be curious about it. Ask it, why are you here? What are you trying to protect me from? What can we do to make you not play such a big role in my life? You need to work alongside your anger. You need to almost befriend it so it can trust you. You know, I know this might seem quite abstract, it's quite an ambiguous way to look at it, but it has to be done this way. And then when you're curious, instantly that's going to bring a level of calmness. You have to be calm. This is the third C, because only when you're calm can you move on to the fourth C, which is clarity, be clear. When you're chaotic, which is another C, but when you're chaotic, you can't see anything. Everything is just a fucking mess. But when you're able to bring yourself to that space of calm, that place of calm, you're able to start to clearly see the next path or the next step you should be taking. Compassion, curiosity, calmness, clarity. So when you're clear and there's a next step, the next step is usually difficult. It's usually a step that you might have even been aware of before, but you didn't take it because you didn't have the fifth C, which is courage. You guys are courageous by doing this. Who knows what your next courageous step be? It might be joining me later on in a more deeper one-to-one program or group program. This is definitely a great thing that you're being here, but we need to start to understand, start to connect with your truest self, with the core human self. And we're on our journey now. And once you go through that courage, that courageous point, and you take that step, only then when you really start to feel connected to yourself. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. Imagine that we know intuitively we need to be over there, but we're still standing here because over there just seems so big, it just seems so far. That's where we're supposed to be. There's a big disconnect between where we are now and where we're supposed to be. But we feel, as men, we feel where we're supposed to be. We feel that we're supposed to be bigger, better. I don't like to say the word better, be better, but do better. We feel it. We feel that we've got it in us. That's why we can feel disconnected, because we're not being who we're supposed to be. We're disconnected from our truest self, from our core human self. So after you show that courage, you take that courageous step, that is when you begin to feel connected. What do you think happens after you take a courageous step and connect to yourself and you get to fucking know yourself? You feel confident, true confidence. You notice the difference between somebody that has fake confidence and true confidence, right? When was the last time you truly felt confident with who you are, with who you're being? When you go through these steps and you take the courageous step and you connect to yourself and you know yourself, you're confident in what you're doing. Them insecurities that we build up on the way, they start to shrink. Then when we're our confident self, closest to ourselves, what does our core human self? We want to create. As men, we want to build. Once we're confident of who we are, that is when the final C, we can create the life that we really want to live. Compassion, curiosity, calmness, clarity, um, courage, connectedness or connected, confidence, creative. These are the eight C's, or creation, which is a feminine energy, I want to add. You know, there's a mix between the masculine and feminine with this whole journey of going inwards, going into ourselves. And as I'm talking, you may even be feeling yourself soften, or knowing that a part of you is going to need to soften in order to go on this inner journey, this self-exploration, in order for self-discovery. So I want you to look at the words. Hopefully you've written them down. If you haven't, pause them and write them down. And I want you to think about how these words land for you. What comes up for you when you're feeling these words, and more, how can you, both in your mind and your body, by the way, I want you to think about the physical aspects to it. And also, how can you embody them? What can you do to make this quite esoteric suggestion, bring it into your reality? So what do you need to do to start showing compassion to yourself? Maybe journal. Oh, see that. What can you do to bring this compassion for yourself? Maybe journal. Maybe it's just sitting in meditation, trying to show yourself love and understanding. How can you be curious about it? What do you need to do to be curious about your anger, to disconnect yourself from it? How does being calm when doing this work look for you? What does clarity mean for you? How do you know when you've reached that part? You know, what are you going to do? What's going to be your courageous step when you're clear and you know what you need to do? How does connected, how's that going to land for you? You see what I'm doing? So I just want you to kind of recognize how these steps, these 8 C's will or can be embodied. So again, the steps that you can take is first admit to yourself, to those around you, the extent of the challenge that you've got. Saying sorry, understand the discomfort that's going to come with that. No, it's not going to be easy. Compassion and forgiveness, we've spoken about that a couple of times now. I've probably spoken about that in the beginning, middle, and the end of this mastermind. Compassion and forgiveness. There's the mind body connection, the tense, and the things that you can do to actually feel your body. Actually, don't just think, what am I thinking about? What am I thinking about? Actually learning to feel about something as well. And then we've got the 8 C's, being true to yourself, finding yourself. It's this is the work. This is the work that we do for ourselves in order to live a more happy and fulfilling life. By now, you might be thinking, okay, I've got all I need. This is very useful and I'm good to go. And if that's you, I celebrate that. I've done my job. I'm happy that I've been able to give you some value that you can get started on. But there might be some of you that be thinking, oh, this has been good, but I want more. I'd like some help with this. And if that's you, if you are the person that is feeling angry and frustrated with life, and you want to learn how to cultivate more inner peace, connect to your true self, learn how to show yourself more compassion, more forgiveness, so you can be compassionate and forgiving to others as well. If that's you, then stay on, because I'm going to show you or give you a little bit of an idea of how we can make that happen. I run a program called the Shift and Elevate. And Shift and Elevate, it really is about transforming anger into inner peace. And it works with 3 pillars, three pillars. The first being mindful mastery. And what I mean by this, we have to know ourselves, we have to know our minds, we have to know everything about why we act and react in order to navigate anything. We have to know our whole self in order to be our best self. And by using certain techniques and practices, you're able to kind of go inwards and actually understand why you're thinking the way that you think and have more autonomy over the way you react. The second part is about mind-body connection, as we briefly touched on. Like I said, we're so good at compartmentalizing the stuff that we don't want to look at. but our body keeps score. Most of us have heard about this right now. Our body holds on to trauma that our mind doesn't want to process. So we need to learn how to go into the body, understand the body, and connect with the body. Because when we are angry, frustrated, or even dissatisfied, there is a very physical experience. But because we're so heady, we live so much in our minds that we neglect to actually recognize that the work that does need to happen needs to happen in the body. We always try and busy the mind, work, gym. There's 101 things that we can try and do to busy the mind, but it's the body that we need to try and work through. And finally, the third part of this Shift and Elevate program is about a personal blueprint. It's about finding out what's important for you, your values. If somebody says to me, I want to get a goal, I'm not going to say, okay, let's reach that goal. We need to explore why that's important to you. Is it your goal? Is it somebody else's goal? Is it what you want or what you think you should have? We need to map out the next steps for your next 6 months or to a year in something that is truly aligned with you, your core self. So this program goes on for 12 weeks. There is a lot of communication. We meet each week face to face. It is a beautiful container of men sharing their challenges, supporting each other. And if there's something that you're interested in, because you've taken this first step and you're here now, there's going to be a huge discount for people that sign up before the deadline, which I believe is on the 2nd of September. And for those that, well, yesterday, I don't know how I can offer it to you. So yesterday I said for people that signed up on the call, they're going to get a deep release one-to-one breathwork session as well before. But I guess if you can sign up before the 2nd of September, I'll offer that to you guys too. There will be a link below this video where you can book in for a call, just to make sure that you are a good fit for the program if you're interested. I'm not that guy that will just say yes to anybody if I don't think you're a good fit, especially for a container. Everybody has to want the same goal, and energy is absolutely everything. Do I have anything else to share? Not right now, but if you do want to ask any questions, please feel free. I did say I was going to ask questions, but now the questions that were asked yesterday, I do not have to mind, so I'm not going to say that. But sadly, we have come to an end. You're probably still going to see me on my socials or in my group, my Facebook group. If you're not part of that group, then I'm going to add a link in that as well, so you can join the group. But any questions at all, feel free to reach out in any way, whether it's via email, Facebook group, Instagram, whatever works for you. Gentlemen, hope you've had a good time. I hope it hasn't been as odd for you as it has for me, because I realize I'm only talking to myself right now. But yeah, take care and maybe speak to you soon.